Welcome, everyone. We thank you for joining us today for our session. I'm Elizabeth Coleman. I'd like to also introduce Dr. Marci Dial, and we are full-time faculty at Valencia College School of Nursing. And again, we just want to welcome you to our session for the Creating Resilience community. Just in case anybody was unclear, you're in the 1:30 workshop for the afternoon, right? So hopefully everybody wants to be here. And today our session is creating a culture of civility in the classroom, a vision for the future of healthcare. This is a session that is really just not applicable to healthcare in itself. It can be used in multiple areas, business, between individuals as well. Excuse me, let me somebody else. Okay. This is a time for us to reflect and hopefully maybe learn a little bit as we go along. So welcome.
So we, again, we want to start off with the PJI principles, as we've been doing with every session. In our session today, right now we're a little small group, and that's okay. We like small, we like big, we like anything. We want you all to know that the session's very interactive. Just unmute, talk, anything. We love that. Raise hands, anything. Like, we just want everybody to participate. So we're going to take a second. Elizabeth's going to share the screen with the principles on it, and we invite you to join in with reading one of the principles, or two or three, however many you want to read. We'll start off with the first two. Once she shares it up, I'll start us off with the first one. Elizabeth will chime with the second one, and please, we love to hear your voices. Yes. So just a refresh.
A minute here. Yeah. I'll get back to where we need to be.
Sometimes we're technologically challenged, so we just want to put that out there. There's too many windows and too many screens, and you would think by now we'd be experts after going into the virtual environment for 2 years, and we're not. So principle number one is to create a hospitable and accountable community. We all arrive in isolation and need the generosity of friendly welcomes. Bring all of yourself to the work in this community. Welcome others to this place and this work, and presume that you are welcomed as well. Hospitality is the essence of restoring community.
Number two, listen deeply. Listen intently to what is said. Listen to the feelings beneath the words. Strive to achieve a balance between listening and reflecting, speaking and acting. Feel free, if anybody wants to read number three.
Create an advice-free zone. Replace advice with curiosity as we work together for peace and justice. Each of us is here to discover our own truths. We are not here to set someone else straight, to fix what we perceive as broken in another member of the group.
Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
Number four, practice asking honest and open questions. A great question is ambiguous, personal, and provokes anxiety.
Thank you, Mary Ann.
Number five, give space for unpopular answers. Answer questions honestly, even if the answer seems unpopular. Be present to listen, not debate, correct, or interpret.
Thank you. I'll do number six, respect silence. Silence is a rare gift in our busy world. After someone has spoken, take the time to reflect without immediately filling the space with words. This applies to the speaker. Be comfortable leaving your words to resound in the silence. without refining or elaborating on what you have said.
7, suspend judgment. Set aside your judgments. By creating a space between judgments and reactions, we can listen to the other and to ourselves more fully.
Thank you.
Number 8, identify assumptions. Our assumptions are usually invisible to us, yet they undergird our worldview. By identifying your assumptions, we can then set them aside and open our viewpoints to greater possibilities.
Number 9, speak your truth. You are invited to say what is in your heart, trusting that your voice will be heard and your contribution respected. Own your truth by remembering to speak only for yourself. Using the first person I rather than you or everyone clearly communicates the personal nature of your expression.
Ten, when things get difficult, turn to wonder. If you find yourself disagreeing with another, becoming judgmental, or shutting down in defense, try turning to wonder. I wonder what brought her or him to this place. I wonder what my reaction teaches me. I wonder what he or she is feeling right now. Practice slowing down. Simply the speed of modern life can cause violent damage to the soul. By intentionally practicing slowing down, we strengthen our ability to extend nonviolence to others and to ourselves.
All voices have value. Hold these moments when a person speaks as precious, because these are the moments when a person is willing to stand for something, trust the group, and offer something they see as valuable.
Mhm. And
Number-
finally, oops,
sorry.
Go ahead, Jessica.
Go ahead,
Go ahead, Kate.
Marci. Okay. Number 13, maintain confidentiality. Create a safe space by respecting the confidential nature and content of discussions held in the group. Allow what is said in the group to remain there.
Beautiful. Thank you. So you guys, this is funny. I have to tell you, I told this earlier to Elizabeth, as soon as this session gets started, they're going to cut my grass. And guess what's happening? Every single time someone started reading a principle, I heard the thing go by. I'm like, are you kidding me? But that's
she
okay.
did say that. Yes, she did.
I was like, oh, I'm escaping that today. And no, I'm not. So it's all right. It's all right. We'll go. So again, we want to welcome all of you. Elizabeth's going to be switching back with the screens for a couple of different things. So we're going to get started in just a second. We have a mobile slide set, I'll say. And
Yes.
it's coming in 1 second. So please bear with us.
And Marci, we're going to, just so I'm clear, our slides, correct?
Yeah, our puzzles.
Yeah.
We're going into our classroom.
Into our classroom.
Yes. Yes.
All right, we're all good. So creating a culture of civility. Again, you know who we are, Elizabeth Coleman, Dr. Marci Dial. Again, we wanted to thank you for being here. It's a great day for us to connect with everybody and reflect on a time when maybe we have experienced civility as being the receiver or possibly even the sender. So hopefully what we'll may be able to take away from today's presentation is defining civility, identifying some of the factors that contribute to an uncivil environment, discuss ideas to foster the building of a civility space, and design an activity to promote civility in a professional environment. So, what is civility? In essence, the definition of civility is formal politeness, courtesy in one's behavior and speech. And when we are civil, we are creating a safe space to engage with our fellow human beings.
Mhm. So what we are bringing you to right now essentially is an activity that we do in our classroom. We've modified it for this space. So right now, this is a collaborative activity. We would love for everybody to participate. And if you choose not to, that is perfectly fine as well. We are going to build something together. So introducing this activity to you, we're going to show you inside of our learning management space, how we do this with our students. As Elizabeth mentioned, we teach in the School of Nursing. We want to preface that with, we are the entry point. So all of our students are brand new. We're the first term for nursing students. And in a second, we'll elaborate on it a little bit more, but we are that entry point. So one thing that we want everybody to recognize is that times have changed a lot. Our student population, if you will, has really changed over the last couple of years. And one of the things that has changed it immensely is the ability that students have now to dual enroll in college while they're in high school. So keeping that in mind, our students are younger than they used to be. It's, for us, I'll say, it's a very new thing that we had to adjust to. And it was really starting to take off right before the pandemic. And so we were getting to know our students in our populations younger and younger in different situations that they bring. So it was very important to us to understand, the concepts and the ideas that go with the work that started out as ACEs, that's now PACEs, and all of those things, and embracing that on a whole different level, and knowing that people are coming into our classroom, essentially, even though they just graduated from high school yesterday, they're adults, but they come with a whole nother set of experiences, I'll say, than we were traditionally used to. So that being said, this is one of the things that we start out our classroom with in fostering that civility and learning civility and trying to teach things that may not have been something that have been taught before, or we all bring our own ideas to that collaborative space. It's very important for us to help the students to recognize that you're entering a journey, that you come in the door and we are all equal. We are all on the same playing field. We are a team. We work together. We respect what everybody brings to the table, and we are all on a common journey towards a common goal. And the only way that we're going to get there is to treat each other with a respect and foster that civil environment. So that being said, one of the activities we do is the building of a class civility charter. So for us today, we're going to build a class, if you will. Welcome to our class, Civility Collaboration Word Cloud. So as you can see underneath the puzzle pieces, the first step, we would like to invite everyone to please introduce yourself. Tell us your name, tell all of us, as a group, your name, and share the area that you come from. If you're from Florida, if you're from outside of Florida, wherever that is, please let us know where you're tuning in from today. The next thing, the doing part, we would love to hear what your current position is. Are you a student? Are you working in an academic area? Do you work in a community center? Do you work in a business? We know that we come from all different areas, but the thing we want everybody to recognize is the information that we're sharing today is applicable across anything that we do. The last thing, this is my favorite part, is that we invite everyone to share one word that describes civility to you or means civility to you, that you equate with civility. And what we'll do in that time frame is we're going to build a word cloud, and we're going to have our product as soon as we finish our activity. So on our next slide that Elizabeth is bringing us to, it is going to show us that we have our collaborative civility activity, which is exactly what we do in the classroom. We have a link to Monkey Learn. You guys, this is the fun link. We just have to say it's free too. We didn't have to pay any money for it. So free is wonderful. You can use it anywhere, and you can save your file and share it when it comes. Technology.
Did it not come?
It didn't show the spinning
It
wheel.
didn't. Okay, sorry.
It was working before. It was working, of course, before we came in.
Of course it did. So let's do it.
We're going to self-repair it.
We're self-repair. Yeah, let's do that.
Yep.
Thank you. Can you see that one now?
Yes, we can.
All right. Yay.
All right. So like we said, we would love for everybody to participate. Let us know, where you're at, and we can get this cloud started. Elizabeth, do you want to start us off? I'll follow you, and then anybody chime on in.
My name is Elizabeth Coleman. I'm a full-time nursing faculty, Valencia College School of Nursing. I teach the Introduction to Professional Nursing and Healthcare Concepts. That is the very first nursing course of the program. And for me, civility is honesty.
And I'm Marci Dial again, here from Florida. Actually, now I could have been virtually anywhere, right, when we were in the virtual environment teaching. But I'm here from Florida, also from Valencia College, professor of nursing. And one thing that really resonates with me when I think of civility is respect.
I can go. Hi, everybody. My name is Mary Ann Anderson, and I'm here in Orlando. And I am a program specialist with Orange County Public Schools. And the word I think of is inclusion.
Thank you, Mary Ann.
I'll go. I don't know how to put myself up on the screen, but I think I'm open.
You are, Linda.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. I'm Linda Goddard. I am an English professor at Valencia College on the East Campus. And I'm also, my courses are under the Peace and Justice Institute umbrella theme, waking up and welcoming our diversity. And a word for civility is joyful. I can't, oh, there we go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So my name is
Sorry, Tanya. Go. You go.
My name is Tanya Elmer. I'm the director of an internal consulting group for Advent Health called the Collective Consulting Group, and I am from Florida. When I think of civility, I do think of respect as well, but I'll add another one, honoring.
Hi, I guess I'll go. This is Pamela Vorderberg. I'm from Florida. I am currently doing freelance work for grant writing and for advocacy, and have worked in child welfare for many years. Been a guardian ad litem as well. And animal advocacy is a passion of mine. And I actually, if I do not get to answer the voice quickly, if you have a question, I'm dealing with an ill cat right now at home. So pneumonia for the nurses out there, a rare thing with cats, and has everything she needs. And it's tough right now. But for civility, and it's something I dealt with my mother in the hospital for quite a while with a stroke 5 years ago, and have had to deal with healthcare where it has been a challenge. I would say dignity is what comes to mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. My name is Kiki Grossman. I've been in Florida for 40 years and have roots north of us. I'm with Advent Health, work with Tanya in the collective consulting group. And when I think about a foundational element of civility, I think of self-regulation.
Mhm. And we do have in the chat from Kelly, she doesn't have an audio or her mic, so she's chatting and I keep trying to look at underneath my box. So Kelly is here in Florida. She studied and worked in engineering, and she's currently self-employed, working with people who deal with hoarding compulsions. And her work for Civility is compassion. Thank you, Kelly. Did everyone have a chance to? You're welcome. I see your chat popped up. You're very welcome. Celine, I see Celine in the thing. Celine, can you hear us okay?
I think that's,
I think we're good. All right, so
and right.
if everyone has had a chance, we're going to go ahead and generate the cloud. Let's see what we've created. There we go. There's our cloud. The magic of the room has been created. So we'll save that, and Elizabeth will download the link to the chat box for you. Again, that was off of the Monkey Learn. It's an interesting thing. And then we're going to go back to our regular slides and show you how that connects to what we do in the classroom, in our learning space with our students.
Go back.
And as we said before, our students come in, it may not be their first time, I'll say, in a college course, but they're going into their major plan of study. For us, it's nursing. Anybody that's, working, especially, I'll say, with younger kids, younger children, any age level before they get to the college age, or even in some of your workplaces where you're getting people that are younger and coming into professions. It's so important to help them to develop the resilience that they need for facing whatever challenges come along. And one thing that we need to recognize, a simple definition of thinking what comes with resilience is the ability for a person, a community, or a system to be able to adapt to challenges and stress and adversity and trauma. Remember that people bring things to that environment, to the environments they're coming in. And we don't know what they bring to the environment. And sometimes people speak about those things and sometimes they don't. They hold those things inside. So it's really important for us to recognize that and to help with the healthy adaptation to being able to foster building of internal protective factors. For us, in working with students that are coming in to the profession of nursing, some of the things that we've extracted out that are very important as internal protective factors, you can see on the screen. These really, really do cross across any age group, any work setting, any community setting, but we're giving them a skill set when they come inside of the doors to our college, to our program. And it's a skill set that they can take outside of the doors, outside to their profession. So the first thing is considering self-efficacy. People may not come with a lot of belief in themselves, belief that they're competent to do anything. The first thing for them to recognize is that they're very competent. They have gotten to the goal of coming to college or coming to that new job or starting out whatever that new journey is. And really, when we think about that, it's the personal perception of competence. How do we perceive ourselves as being competent? And it's giving that realistic confidence of possessing a skill set. And that skill set has to develop. But the skill set to meet the adversity that comes with the challenges of becoming a nurse, of becoming whatever that profession is, of learning a new job, of coming into a classroom, even with our really young students that are coming up in like the K through 12, coming into an environment and knowing that they have a skill set and something that's going to help them not cause harm to self or others, especially for us in a nursing profession. We have to recognize that some things that we do may cause harm to a person, not intentionally. Our students bring with them experiences that they may have been harmed in some way. And we want to make sure that they feel that self-efficacy, that I'm not inflicting harm. What I do is good, and I'm competent to do what I do. We also want them to have optimism. Having the ability to be optimistic fosters that positive emotion. Positivity, positive emotions have a direct impact, a lot of times physiologic impact, on how we function, how our systems function. We extracted out cardiovascular system, the neuroendocrine system, and immune function. We have heard repeatedly that stress tears down our bodies. It tears down our ability to do things. So creating that positive environment, creating the ability for them to be optimistic about their future is very important. It's very important to start that from the very beginning. And understanding that psychological capital piece and investing in that. Hope, optimism, efficacy, and resilience are some of the concepts that fall under that umbrella. And thinking that all of those concepts have something to do with creating possibility, creating the possibility toward the future and having that future available to them and fostering resilience as they move along and they develop is very, very important. And that starts the minute they walk into our classroom.
Excuse me, that emotional intelligence, we need to get over ourselves, all of us, where we can identify and understand, use those emotions that we have in a positive way so that we can overcome those challenges that affect our resilience, the stressors that change our resilience, that adversity, that trauma. We need to recognize all those emotions that are all interconnected. And how can we now take that, regulate that, and turn it positive and be goal-oriented so that we can continue on? Because as we know, those challenges, those stressors, those things don't change. They keep incurring as we live. And the self-care, we need to be able to say to ourselves, I'm worthy of taking care of myself, right? It's not selfless care. Okay, we do need to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of the others. This is our community. That's self-stewardship. We need to, again, we are worthy of it. We have to be stewards of ourselves, just as we are stewards of the facilities that we may be working at. It's that positive reframing. That negativity will only, it just brings us down and will only compound that resilience. But we have to remember that we're worthy of this, and we do deserve this. We have to take care of ourselves.
It's very important when we talk about self-care and we talk about being worthy, that we instill that into, whether it's our students, our coworkers, you know, our environments that we work in, because again, we don't know what experiences people have experiences. We don't know what parts have been torn down, and we want to build those pieces back. We want to put that puzzle back together. We want that wholeness to be part of the moving forward about creating possibility. So that being said, we're going to take you into the classroom again, and we're going to show you guys actually what the activities look like. What does that look like to our students coming in, and how you can adapt these things to your own spaces. And also in our chat box, we'll revise the cloud for you. And we saw the word didn't pop in for joyful on Linda, so we have to revise our cloud, which we can do.
I'm so sorry.
I think it just skipped on the thing, but we got you on the word. Just so you know, we'll fix our cloud. We have the capability.
Thank you.
Perfect. You're welcome. Okay, so as you can see, this is the beginning of our space. This is where we use Canvas if you're not familiar with it, but this is our introductory page. We have a short video that the students watch just about nursing, and hopefully gives them some more ways to embrace that profession. Elizabeth's going to start here and take us through that first part.
So first thing that the students are seeing is civility in nursing. And here's our introduction. Just pretty much what we've just been talking about, that resilience, the turmoils, the stresses. And I do love the one, if you can see the last quote, and this is from Dr. Dial. Individuals who choose to embark on the journey of professional nursing make the commitment to provide care for individuals, families, and whole communities in multiple situations. Nurses connect with those they care for, and at the same time must maintain a professional relationship with other healthcare providers to ensure a positive outcome in each situation.
So I just have to say, true confession right here. The two ladies that are giving this this presentation, I told you we were technologically challenged. I'm just going to validate it right now, because we did have 2 slides to come before this, before we brought you into the space. We got ahead of ourselves for the better understanding of the greater good. And the lawn guys, they throw me off, but we do. Can you go back to our slide set? That's for the space. It's bigger. If you're visually challenged as I am, you guys can see what happens.
There, the welcome.
There's the intro to our space. We prematurely entered, even though we're still welcome in there.
Yeah.
And then the next slide that comes up, essentially, this is the space that we're taking you to. And what Elizabeth just showed you, what the students see, the rationale behind why we do this space for our students, not only to start to create that resilience, but recognizing not just in nursing, but in all of our daily lives, turmoil and stress can create conflict. Internal conflict then can lead to struggles. We often feel that we're stretched beyond our limits. And for healthcare professionals, I can say from personal experience, over the last 2 years, stretched to the limit when COVID became part of our lives. And it's also important to understand, for all of us to understand. And one thing we really want our students to understand, that conflict can cause you to do things that you may normally not do. And unfortunately, as part of a healthcare team, the reaction without thought may cause an uncivil situation or an uncivil behavior, and that could actually jeopardize the person that you're caring for or that they are caring for. In any situation in a workplace, we all know, things happen. We know that people bottle things up. We know that things can become explosive. Even in a classroom with younger students, teaching them conflict management, teaching them how to deal with situations, how to find their voice. Those are so important. And that's why this is so important to us and to our students, the work of creating that skill set before they go out, before these things happen, giving them the tools they need to manage themselves in situations.
And what you see next is the charter and the space. What's written here is coming directly from the charter that these students make. We make this charter each term. I'd like to say it's not the faculty charter. It belongs to the students. It is theirs. They own it. And this is what, just as we did the word crowd, all their words are put in the charter. And these two statements are also included.
So we'll go back, we'll take you guys back to the space. So now you have a better idea. We apologize for that technical glitch there.
All right, we did get ahead of ourselves,
Exactly.
so sorry.
Our puzzle pieces again.
Yes.
When the students advance forward to the next space, on the bottom of
It
space,
took a little while.
Yeah, it takes them directly to the Peace and Justice Institute before, with a link directly to the principals and a link to the information that's available to them at the college as well, because there's opportunities within the Peace and Justice Institute for students to become ambassadors and to take things, outside of just their major plan of study and be advocates in many different ways.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the activity that we did with the word cloud is transformed in the activity that we do with our students. The civility piece that Elizabeth just showed you on the other slide is the words that go onto each charter for each class. The birth of this used to be in a face-to-face environment. When COVID hit and we were put in lockdown at eternal spring break, as everyone knows, that's when it came, we had to think of another way to connect. And what we ended up doing was bringing our charter into this century. I'll say, I guess we were out of the classroom, we became virtual, but the students created the charter in the same way that we did with the introductions here, our words and our cloud. The only difference is that we flip the activity into a video, a Flipgrid video, where they were able to do what's called a word drop activity, and they would introduce themselves, and then they would give their word, what civility means, and then the transformation of that becomes the civility charter for the classroom. And we do have a PDF of that to show y'all, which we will do.
Here is the current charter that the students have all agreed upon for this term.
And it changes every single term.
It does not, it is ever moving. And yes, and then the students are signing it.
So they adopt it as their class. It follows them on their journey, and we encourage them to refer back to it, especially when they have any issue or anything that comes up in their clinical rotations or experiences in their workplace, even in their home, to refer back to it and think about, how do I manage myself in a situation? What does civility look like? How can I share that with others? Which is so important.
And go back.
And we'll go back
And
to this space. In addition to that, we also have created a self-care management space online within our course. Again, being away from each other, us not being able to see students as frequently as we used to be able to, it became more difficult to recognize students in distress or anything that could be bubbling up or arising. We weren't having those conversations on a daily basis. We were limited. We're still kind of limited, but we had to come up with a way to bring things forward, to not let this work slip away, and let them know that it is very, very important for them to be able to self-regulate, to decompress, that it's okay to have moments where you can step away from what you're doing. So many students, not just in our, in our area, but students in general, even younger students, whatever pressures are being put on them, in adults in workplaces as well, whatever pressures to perform are being put on them can create great stressors. And being able to step back, decompress, take a moment, whether it's a mindful moment just to breathe, just to self-reflect on what's going on, can make a huge difference in their performance and their ability to move forward and their ability to be successful. And again, in the virtual environment, one way that we foster this is with our Think Positive, our Take Care and Share blog. And essentially it's a discussion board. And what happens in this space is students can verbalize, their feelings, share positive thoughts, be grateful. It is a voluntary activity. Some of the things that we've seen, Elizabeth can attest to, recipes, how to make a power smoothie. They put music in there. It's an amazing site, and it's amazing how many people use that site. Pictures of their pets, pictures of their family, anything that they're thankful for, what keeps them going.
Mhm. Then one other thing we'd like to share with you is this is one of the class assignments that the students do have, and relates directly to the Peace and Justice Institute principle number 13, maintaining confidentiality. Because in our profession, maintaining confidentiality is of utmost importance. We have to abide by HIPAA, but it applies to other work settings as well. It applies to individual relationships. It's not just within healthcare itself. So this is one of their assignments that they have.
Before we leave the Canvas space, we just wanted to open up and see, does anybody have any questions about just this piece in general? If you want to see anything before we exit it, we don't want to exit it before you have a chance to ask or see, or share your ideas, anything in there that we can, that we can open up.
Marci, I actually had this thought.
Sure.
Are we providing an opportunity to explore? See, you're creating this amazing, amazing culture, and obviously, when they go out into the world and to their professional spaces,
Yes.
not everybody's going to have that same training or that same language, and so I'm always curious about if they're receiving messaging about how do we navigate situations where we're working with somebody who isn't going by our class charter, who clear. Yeah, that's because that's kind of, yeah.
And that's a great question, Kiki. And honestly, and I know, a bunch of years ago, I'll say, when we were still young in PJI, these were some of the things, the community outreaches, and we didn't have a lot of the capacity to do it. We didn't have the people power and all of these things. And this has been, like, I'll say, this vision for a very long time, a combined vision. And it was something that, Rachel and I sat down, how do we do this? But taking yourself out of your full-time job and trying to do these things is so hard. And this is one thing that we dream of. I'll say, in the School of Nursing, we work very closely with our community partners, as you both, know from, coming from Advent Health, coming from anywhere, whether it's the school system or anywhere that our students visit. Forging that relationship and having that entry point would be the most amazing thing for this entire community. I don't just mean the college and the hospital. I mean every person that receives healthcare in our Central Florida community. If we could bridge the gap from that academic setting to that community, we're sending student nurses into these settings with training, diverse training from every university, from every school. They come from different states. And that little piece that we give them is something that they may not get everywhere. And everyone can talk about the word and talk about this, but talking is one thing, doing is another, I'll say. And if we can build that, I just think that it will just explode, and in such a way that the quality of healthcare in this community, the quality of things, that people see from the outside, the coming up of kids through, younger ages, like, oh, I really want to do this. I want to be part of this. It's such a big connection. And we're open. Like, if anybody in this room, any part wants to join forces and figure out how we do make those connections, you don't have to be a healthcare person. We all can take part in this work. And I would just encourage, the conversation to continue. So hopefully something comes out, that's our network, that we are building networks and we're building relationships with these sessions and these things, and learning how to create that resilient community. And that's one area we would love to tap into. We just need the avenue to do.
Yeah, Marci, I love your response. I guess I was looking at this through my professor lens, and I was thinking, do you ever run role plays within these nursing spaces where it's conflict resolution role plays, maybe where you're working with a nurse who hasn't had your introduction to the principles. They don't know about self-regulation or civility. So that's kind of what I was
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually do it role play person. We have simulations. We now have virtual platforms that are civility platforms and things like that as well. And we do have that open space when they come back from their first clinical experience. And it's amazing the things that they bring back and say how, I'll just say, like, one end of the spectrum to the other. This was a wonderful, or this was horrible. And the scary thing, I'll say, with anything, any profession, or anything, when a student, whether it's a young student or an older student, has a negative experience with someone in a profession or a place that they want to go to, or they see themselves in a future, it can turn them completely away from that with that negative experience. And that is one thing we're very, I don't want to say afraid of, but for lack of a better word, it's a fear that we have as nurses. And having been on the receiving end of those things ourselves as we've grown up in the profession, there's no place for that. And there's no place to drive our future people in anything away from these professions and these places for them to go to make an impact. So that's
Linda's got her hand up.
I do, and my question is around gender issues in your profession. Let me see, maybe if I just talk a little bit, I'll try to make it fast. I'm coming from a place of some ignorance because I'm not in the nursing profession, but I'm assuming that most nurses are women, females, and that most doctors, surgeons particularly, are male. And I wonder if there's training or conversations around how women as nurses can keep their civility while dealing with that, what I call it white male presumption, because I deal with it in my courses, which are under the Peace and Justice umbrella. It's a required course, freshman composition. The theme is waking up, welcoming, and diversity. So we read and discuss literature written by and about women's experience, people of color, cross-cultural. I always, without exception, get pushback from my young male white students. Very defensive. I've tried so many ways to break it down because I want them to be able to listen and hear. And often they just drop the class. And someone pointed out to me that it might be because I'm a female. If they heard it from a white male, it might make a difference. I don't know. Anyway, that's just a thought.
were going to say something, Elizabeth?
And no, I'm actually just reflecting right now on everything.
Yeah, as soon as when you started asking that question, Linda, I literally, like, the flashback came to me of the culture and the treatment and all of that. And two yeses I'll say now. One, in industry, it's being recognized, maybe not at the level that it should be at this point, but thankful that it's being recognized, those situations and things. There's now resources in place for nurses, whether they're male, female, to call about behavior that's not acceptable, not a professional, any kind of treatment like that. That's one thing we also stress in our classroom. Yes, it still is a predominantly female profession, but I will say over the past probably 5 years, our classes are becoming way more diverse with males, people of color, just every walk of life. And it is completely amazing to see that. And we have even, and as crazy as this sounds, and people don't think about certain things, but one thing, training them in those safe spaces, and I'll say our simulation lab. When I was in nursing school at Valencia College, as well as Elizabeth, we both graduated, you would walk into our simulation lab and every single mannequin in the bed was a white mannequin. Every patient we take care of is not a white patient. And even putting color aside, we didn't even have a geriatric mannequin. Okay. So, this is what we learn. This is this. Now you can go into our lab and it's completely different. We have resources where a student can go in and say, hey, you know what? I can totally relate. That person looks like me. There's different things that we need to teach. How can we teach something or teach a behavior when everybody looks the same? The landscape is not the same. And the behaviors that come with that landscape need changing. And it's difficult to say it, I'll say like on the 2D level, when we're trying to teach something and foster those behaviors, when we don't have that model or that person. And if someone refuses to listen to things a certain way, I can say being female in this profession, a lot of times we get pushback from students that, maybe male and their perception is something different because of the way a female may have been treated in an environment and where your place is. And that's why another thing that's really important to us is the equity factor when you walk in the room. We are all on the same team. We are all on the same playing field, and we are all working towards the same goal. And as far as dropping the classes and things because they don't want to listen, I honestly wish I could solve that problem for all of us, for any teachers or any, anybody, even in a workplace, feeling that I'm not worthy to give information and somebody doesn't want to listen to me as that person that is trying to help you, to succeed. How do we deal with that? That is a phenomenal question that I would love to know the answer. And I hope that with this work, we can get there. We can get there, but know that landscape we know is slowly changing, and we would love to see it change even more.
Thank you
Hopefully that
so much.
answered you, Linda.
Tanya?
Sure. So coming from the healthcare, organization, and where I come from the Department of Professionalism. So I worked in the past with our inappropriate and disruptive physicians. And so oftentimes the reporter were the nurses and other specialties. And so, I think this is a really great conversation about how do you continue the education process, because we have a whole model that we're working on. Kiki and I, we build structures to really help facilitate. And I think that when she was asking about what are the simulations or the education modules, how are you, and from my point of view, how are you equipping the nurses to be able to navigate when a disruptive behavior occurs and when they are experienced? So, because what I hear oftentimes when I'm in the field is, that's a baby nurse. She doesn't know how to stick up for herself with, to that physician or provider, right? And oftentimes we hear those comments. And so often those more green nurses are the ones that we see emoting emotion in a corner, crying, because they just don't know how to experience what they've encountered in an interaction. And so we're doing our part for my healthcare system of how do we continue to educate. Kiki and I are working on topics that really have speak up for safety, speak up for yourself, speak up for concerns. How do you create this psychological safety that is most needed in many areas? And the work that we do is we go in these spaces that don't have psychological safety, where these nurses do and other specialties feel hindered to communicate or speak up. So, I can't speak for the organization, but I know that we are really working on our end as well to really help bridge this gap. And so, however much we can educate about the power of their own voice and speaking up and not backing down regarding of hierarchy, right? Oftentimes they look at the hierarchy model and say, oh, I can't say anything to that physician because they're the the driver of the train. They know what's going on. And even if I saw something that wasn't right, they're the expert. Well, that's not what we're trying to create in our organization. So it's a great collaboration of continuing the dialogue with our students of what, even just defining what inappropriate disruptive behavior is, because sometimes we just become so, they'll just say, that's what that doctor is like, or that's what that person is like. They're always like that. Well, that's not okay. And we don't accept that. And we don't want to accept that. So I love this dialogue. I think it's great for us in understanding how we set the expectations, even in their cultivating their education as they go into the workplace as well.
The points that you bring up, Tanya, are excellent points. And one thing that we want to address with that is some of the things that you said, like, oh, they're always like that, or that's just a baby nurse, they don't know anything. That is literally a culture change that needs to happen. And I will say, from one aspect, it truly starts with the grassroots or the ground roots of looking at, maybe it's the nursing units individual. I can tell you, I've had the great experience of speaking to the nursing people at Orlando Health. I grew up in that system. And one thing I'll say is they had a nursing excellence conference, and that opportunity to speak to them, it was about the generations and working together, and those things that you just alluded to with dismissal of someone because of where they're at in their life. Again, those are behaviors that can tear down your workforce. That is why people leave their jobs, those things, and addressing them is very important. And those behaviors aren't things that should be excused. That's something that needs to be changed. And working again, I mean, we're happy to, have further dialogue about that. How do we attack those problems together and not in isolation? Because working in silos is never going to solve the problem. As far as, some of the other things now that we're seeing in the chat box, and we know we're like we're probably past our time.
We are.
And with a message, we don't want to take your time and your lunch. Looking in here at the chats that are popping up. Thank you so much for your comments, Linda. We so appreciate that.
Yes.
And to us, you all are heroes as well. The work that you do and the things that you do inside of your workplaces every day, amazing work, and amazing to be here as well. Marianne has put something in about safeguards and do we have a place for people that share things? Yes, Marianne, actually, we did have the opportunity to take a course with Inside of Valencia that was recognizing students in distress. It was a fantastic course. Stuff we didn't even know about that's available, whether it's in the community or whether it's in our space. Now, we do have to report certain things when they're said to us in the classroom. And as Darth is, but we do have those safe, we create those safe spaces. And sometimes, I will say, you can be frightened in those spaces because some of the things that people say to you, you don't expect that. One thing I will say is that I'm thankful that people trust us, that students trust us to share things. Sometimes it's really difficult for us to process, and how do we process those things? But it's really important when talking to them to be able to ask the right questions and be able to get them to the right resource that they need. And I'm hoping that answers that chat question.
Yes, thank you. I was just thinking, because I love, electronically, like when, I guess I was thinking also just in terms of who's sort of monitoring it, because sometimes when we have discussion boards and things like that, people put stuff up, and unless somebody's actually kind of making sure that they look at it now and again. Some stuff can get missed,
Yes,
that's what I was kind of
absolutely.
thinking. Yeah.
And we do monitor stuff. And I will tell you one thing that we have learned from our students is they self-monitor and they take care of each other. And
Mhm.
that is a really, really important thing, I think, in any environment, to create a caring network where people actually take care of each other.
And just want to add to with that, Marianne, we have some part-time faculty that works closely with our course, and sometimes that part-time faculty may hear something and then they will bring it to our attention, and then we'll have that dialogue.
Awesome. Thank you.
Again, ladies, we're at the end of our time. I don't know what the parameters are. If anybody wants to stay for a couple minutes longer, we're happy to stay and finish. Just to close out our, where we would be ending with, I'm just going to say, we're so happy for this rich discussion.
Yes.
We get so empowered with our work, and it is so lovely, and again, anybody who needs to go, please
be
feel
free.
You're very welcome.
Welcome.
And we appreciate you guys, and the recording will be available. Okay.
Yes, it will.
Please stay connected with us. We have the ending, the same. It'll go back to the PJI slides with the ways to stay connected to PJI. For us, again, we just want everybody to take a moment and reflect on what you've learned. You can contact us through the college. Any questions, anything we can help you with, please reach out. Please stay in touch with us, and let's keep the work going.